High school was a battlefield, and Adrian Knight was its crowned tyrant. He walked the halls like they belonged to him, leaving whispers and wounded egos in his wake. I was just one of many casualties, quiet, observant, easy to overlook until he made sure I wasn't. His bullying wasn't loud or clumsy, it was calculated. A smirk during roll call, a hand that always brushed my shoulder in the locker room, too firm to be casual but never enough to be noticed. He was a master of manipulation, and I was his favorite hobby. Back then, I hated him. I told myself I did. But beneath the anger lived a question I couldn't shake. Why me? Why did Adrian look at me like that when no one else was watching? Why did he follow me with his eyes during gym class only to shove past me in the hallway an hour later? I never got an answer. We hadn't spoken in over a year when I saw him again. College had put miles between us, or so I thought. But that night, in a crowded house party soaked in music and smoke, there he was. Older, somehow sharper, dressed like he still didn't care what anyone thought. Our eyes met across the room, and time folded in on itself. He came to me. No arrogance, this time. Just a faint, unreadable smile and the words, "Didn't expect to see you here." I should have walked away, but I didn't. We talked. We drank. The room spun, but he didn't. He watched me with those same unreadable eyes, only now there was something softer beneath them. He laughed, an actual laugh, and I hated that it felt good to hear it. Then everything blurred. One minute we were outside on the porch alone, the music a distant thump against the night. The next, we were in a room upstairs, the door locked, his hands shaking just slightly as they touched my face. I didn't stop him. I didn't want to. It was the kind of mistake you only make once, and for reasons you don't admit to yourself until it's too late. Morning came fast and cruel. The sheets were cold beside me and he was gone. No note, no explanation. Just silence and the bitter echo of everything I thought I'd buried. I stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours, trying to understand what had happened, why I had let it happen. Maybe part of me had always wanted it, to unravel the mystery behind the boy who made my life hell. Maybe I'd confused hate for something else. Maybe I didn't know the difference. But one thing was certain. I had crossed a line I couldn't uncross. And Adrian Knight, the boy who broke me, wasn't done yet. I could feel it. I tried to forget that night. Tried to bury it under lectures, late-night assignments, and the artificial calm of routine. But Adrian didn't disappear. He texted the next day, just a simple, "Can we talk?" I didn't reply. He sent another, then another. I blocked his number. Still, he found ways to show up, on campus, at the cafe near my dorm. Once, he waited, outside my English lit class, leaning against the wall like he belonged there. When I tried to walk past him, he said my name. Not loud, not pleading. Just enough to make me stop. "I just want to talk," he said, his voice quiet, like he didn't want to scare me off. I wanted to scream at him, ask him why. Why now? Why me? Why after years of torment did he suddenly want a conversation? Instead, I walked away. But Adrian didn't give up. A few days later, I saw him again, at the library of all places. He sat across from me without asking, his expression stripped of the smirk I'd known so well. There was something raw in his eyes. Honest even. I wasn't lying that night, he said softly. None of it was a joke. I closed my book, refusing to look at him. "You bullied me for 3 years, Adrian." "I know," he replied, the shame in his voice unfamiliar. I didn't know how else to handle it. "Handle what?" I snapped. He hesitated. "You." That one word cut deeper than I expected. He wasn't taunting me. He meant it. And I hated that it made something inside me waver. I should have told him to leave. But instead, We sat there in silence, the tension between us heavy and alive. I couldn't read him anymore, not like before, and part of me, some reckless, confused part, didn't want to. Later that week, I caught myself watching him across campus, studying the way he laughed with people, the way he folded into conversations, like he belonged everywhere. I wondered if anyone else knew what I did, that he wasn't just the golden boy with the cruel tongue, that he had shadows too. Then came the message I didn't expect. I miss talking to you. I miss that night. I know I don't deserve another chance, but I want one. I stared at the screen for minutes, heartbeat loud in my ears. This was wrong. I knew it was wrong, but what scared me most wasn't the memory of him hurting me. It was the memory of his fingers trembling on my skin like he was afraid of breaking something, like he wanted to be gentle. I didn't reply, but I didn't block him again either, and I knew that meant something. A week passed before I saw him again. It was late, almost midnight, and the courtyard was empty, just pools of yellow light from the lampposts and the rustle of wind through brittle leaves. I was on my way back from the library when I found him sitting alone on a bench, hunched forward, elbows on his knees like he'd been waiting for someone who might never come. He looked up when he saw me, eyes shadowed but alert. I was hoping it'd be you. I didn't speak. I just stood there, unsure if walking away would feel like a victory or a mistake. He patted the space beside him. Just 5 minutes. No lies. Something in me gave in, not out of forgiveness, not yet, but because curiosity had started to outweigh my anger. I sat, cautious and silent. He took a deep breath. You know, I was never good at being honest, especially with myself. I folded my arms, eyes on the ground. You were good at making me miserable. I know, he said without flinching, and I've gone over it so many times trying to figure out what was wrong with me back then. And it's not an excuse. But I was scared of what people would think, of what I would think, if I let myself feel what I felt. His voice broke slightly at the edges, but he didn't stop. I saw you, and it terrified me. Not because you did anything, just because you made me feel something I didn't understand, something I wasn't ready to admit. I looked at him then, really looked. His face wasn't guarded or smug. There was no shield in place, no carefully constructed arrogance. Just a boy trying to explain the damage he caused without turning it into a sob story. Why now? I asked. Because I haven't stopped thinking about that night. Not because it was physical, but because I finally let myself be real with someone, and it was you, the person I hurt the most. I wanted to hate him for saying that. I wanted to throw every insult he ever whispered back at him. But instead, I felt something else, an ache I didn't know how to name, a sadness that ran deep, because part of me had always wanted this, not an apology, but understanding. We sat in silence after that, side by side, like two people trying to unlearn a past that had twisted them both in ways they didn't yet understand. I'm not asking you to forgive me, he said quietly. I want to know you. The real you. If you'll let me. I didn't answer. Not then. But I didn't walk away either. And in that still, quiet moment, I realized the war between us had ended. What came next would be something else entirely. The shift between us wasn't sudden. It happened in moments. A glance held longer than it should have been. A text sent just to say goodnight. An accidental brush of hands that neither of us pulled away from. Whatever this was, it wasn't built on trust yet. It was fragile, hesitant, but it was real. We started meeting in quiet corners. Not out of shame, but because whatever was blooming between us didn't feel ready for the world. He wasn't the Adrian I remembered. That boy had been sharp-edged and cold. This version was gentler, uncertain. He listened more than he spoke. He asked questions about my art, my childhood, the music I liked. And sometimes he told me things too, about his parents' divorce, about how alone he'd felt in a house that was always quiet, how anger had been easier than vulnerability. But it wasn't perfect. There were days I hated him all over again, when a memory would surface, raw and sharp, reminding me how he once made me feel small just to make himself feel bigger. He never defended his past. He just listened, shoulders tense, like he knew. He deserved every word. "I don't want to erase what happened," he told me once. "I want to carry it with me, so I never become that person again." Some nights we sat in silence, side by side, no words needed. On others we argued, not out of cruelty, but because healing was messy and trust wasn't built in a day. Still, there was a quiet pull between us, like gravity working slowly but with purpose. The first time he reached for my hand in daylight, in public, I didn't expect it. We were walking across campus, his fingers brushing against mine before linking, gentle but sure. I looked at him, expecting nerves or hesitation, but found only calm. "I don't care who sees anymore," he said. I didn't reply, but I didn't let go either. Even then, I knew we weren't writing a perfect love story. Ours wasn't polished or sweet. It was scarred and stitched together with difficult truths. But there was something achingly honest about it. He wasn't the villain anymore, and I wasn't the victim. We were just two people trying to make sense of the wreckage we'd created, and, maybe, to build something better from the pieces. One night, lying beside him under the stars on the campus lawn, he whispered, "You were the only person who ever scared me." I turned to him, brow furrowed. "Why?" "Because you made me want to be good." And for the first time, I believed him. Whatever came next, I knew it wouldn't be simple, but it would be ours. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough.